Hey, I'm Marina.
And I'm Emily.
And I've seen everything in the Sex and the City empire 10,000 times.
And I'm starting fresh.
So I'll be woman-splaining the show.
And I'm along for the ride.
But there's a twist. We're starting with And Just Like That and working our way back to the beginning.
So in other words, we're watching it backwards and in high heels.
This is City and the Sex. All right, welcome to the pod. And Just Like That, episode 5.
We're halfway through. Actually, we're halfway through, right? It is 10, right? Please tell me it's 10.
I guess it depends how you look at it, because then we have season 1.
All right. Well, that's 10 of this season. And this was an interesting one.
Mm-hmm. What was your one word takeaway?
My one word takeaway. I was going to say something mean, but I want to say something more positive. My mean word was going to be competent, but I can do better than that.
Wow.
Let's see. Let's do funny exclamation point.
Okay, vivant exclamation point. You're really loving the exclamation point.
I made notes of times that I actually laughed here from characters who don't usually make me laugh. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, there's funny happening. So it's going to be my word.
Okay. I didn't think about my word at all. This is the Halloween episode, which, by the way, I just want to note, like, for some reason, this season was inspired by holidays. There's like a Valentine's Day episode, a Halloween episode. It's like all these episodes around like holiday days. And I don't know. It was really weird for me. I was like, I feel like you're only allowed as a season of television to have one holiday episode a season. Am I wrong?
If you have a short season like this, it would be weird if each of them are holidays. But that is kind of funny because it's like eventually you're going to run out.
Yeah, it's like Labor Day weekend. Yeah, I would say, I'm going to take the disrespectful tack that you diplomatically chose not to do, and I'm going to say this one was actually good. That's a hyphen word, actually good.
Oh, sure.
Even on rewatch, I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are still flaws, but overall, I was like, okay, I think everybody gets somewhat of a substantive plot here, at least of the main four.
Television. Yeah, this is an episode of television, and it is, it's pleasant to watch.
Also, since this is, as we know, a visual medium, Emily and I are both wearing our blue light glasses for this.
Oh yeah, we are.
Emily's definitely giving Hot Librarian. I'm definitely giving Johnny Depp in that Numbers movie, where the numbers kill him. What is that movie? Number 23?
1 second.
Something like that.
Johnny Depp. Numbers
movie. Kill him. Mm-hmm.
Black Mass.
No. That's where he plays a mafioso, which is racist of you to point out. No. There's a Johnny Depp early aughts movie. It's called like Number 23 or something like that. What is this movie called?
Nick Time?
No.
They're giving me the number of movies he's in.
The math kills him.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
The math kill. It's like he's looking through a window.
You're never gonna believe it.
Is it Secret Window?
The first thing that came up was The Tourist.
How am I not finding this movie? It's definitely called like Number 23.
It might be Secret Window. He's wearing glasses in it.
Secret Window, he's wearing the glasses, and he's giving the look that I am giving. Like, we have the same hair color, like highlights.
I don't think you're doing yourself justice, but because of the funny reference, I'll give it to you, but it's not true. I want everyone to look at the video of this. It's not accurate, but it's a funny reference.
Thank you. I just want to know what this goddamn math movie is.
Can somebody help?
Can somebody help? We recorded this literally months ago, but can
somebody help? I recorded this literally months ago, but I promise by the time you're listening to it, I'm still lying awake at night trying to think of this movie where math kills Johnny Depp.
Yeah. Well, if you know the name, just shout it out. I'll give you a little pause to shout it out. 3, 2, 1. Okay, that was great. Thank you so much.
Well, I
Thank you
mean,
so
the more
much.
accurate description is that Marina is the hot kindergarten teacher at the school where I'm the hot librarian.
Oh, yeah, for sure, for
Amazing.
sure.
You're getting those
Mhm.
dads.
Every single one of them. Every single one of them. I know this is, out there, questionable consensus-wise, but did you have a teacher that you wanted to bone, Emily?
There was one of them who I don't know if I wanted to bone was a strong enough word. I don't think I was quite sufficiently horny enough, but I will say I definitely I wanted to impress him. Cuz also I was at an all-girls school, so I think I still had the beginnings of here is symmetrical attractive male and I need to impress him. So and we also
Mm,
had a lot of similar interests cuz he was very hot but also very nerdy and geeky. So it
mm.
was oh, I'm going to impress him that I'm not like other girls.
Classic combo.
But objectively, he was very hot and I just hadn't awakened yet.
Yeah. I mean, I had this concept in elementary school that was marriage.
Mm,
That was a very so there were people I wanted to marry.
Mary.
I don't think I, translated it obviously into actual Bone Town,
You
but
didn't marry a a teacher?
no, I did not marry a teacher, thank God, but I had my 4th grade teacher,
Hmm,
man, he was hot.
okay.
He was
You
hot,
wanna give a shout out?
objectively.
You wanna see what he's
I
doing?
I do not wanna give a shout out to this poor man. I do just wanna say for the record that his birthday happened during the school year, and so for the first time ever, I went to my mom and I was like, "We gotta get him a gift," and my mom went to the basement and got him a bottle of red wine, and I was in 4th grade, and I had to take the bottle of wine to school to give it to him, and I was, so I thought I was gonna get arrested and go to prison,
Of course.
like, max federal prison.
Of course.
So I was, clutching my backpack, being all shifty, and then I remember all these kids were going to his desk and giving him, little statues and, fun little pens, and he was
Cute.
like, "Thanks
Alright.
so much."
Alright, you
And then
pick
I came
me's.
with a bottle of wine, and he was like, "Wow." I think
And
he didn't know how to react, you know what I mean? He was like, "This 4th grader is giving this 8-year-old is giving me wine, I don't know what to do."
yeah, I
But
also
thank
don't
you.
know how I would react in that situation, but I also love it. I feel like I would be stunned, but also I think the student would be, and I'm not just saying this because it's you. I think the student would become my favorite student because that is very
Oh,
funny.
for sure.
That is very funny. The image of you being like, if I get caught with this wine and shuffling it to school is very funny. And
Oh,
also
yeah.
shout out to your mom for doing that.
Oh, shout out to Fulvia.
Should we talk about the show?
No.
Okay.
Uh, we pivot now to, and just like that, episode 5, Trick or Treat.
What a
This is
fun
a
name for a Halloween episode. They're cooking with gas.
really creative here. We open the episode on a big Central Park Halloween party, a Halloween party I would like to go to.
I'm
And
fairly certain. I hate to be this person. I'm fairly certain that was shot in Prospect Park.
really?
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. I think so.
School me. Well, they're in a cool New York park,
Yeah,
and
it's a
I'm
cool New York
jealous.
park.
We'll go through everyone at the party, but starting with LTW, she is in a fire
Mhm.
Bride of Frankenstein costume
Yes.
with big lightning bolt earrings. She definitely, I mean, we'll get to it, but she definitely had the best costume in my opinion, that it was for real a costume.
Easily.
And she's dancing with Anthony, who's dressed as a little devil, and his outfit is also very cute.
Yes. That was very cute.
They're tearing up the dance floor, and then her husband Herbert comes in, and apparently you can't celebrate paganism when you're running for comptroller because he's an absolute narc. He shows up like an absolute narc, is like, "How dare you show your breasts with the devil at this event?" It's like, first of all, in the modern age of 2022/3, if somebody saw the wife of a politician like this at a party, we would all be like, "We love her."
Yeah. We
We'd
would
all
be
be like,
like, I don't know what
"We're
comptroller is, but I'm voting for this person.
but I'm voting for this person." We'd be like a brand new New York socialite.
Mhm.
We would not be like, "Ew, the pagan dancing with the devil on Halloween."
Right. Exactly. These pagans, these witches, these heretics.
He just takes it to such a level that's so weird where basically he's like, "You need to clean up your act." And I'm like, "Excuse me?"
Yeah, it's pretty extreme. I mean, to be fair, he's been thrown into this political campaign against his will. So perhaps he just doesn't know what a political campaign is. Like, he doesn't understand what it means. I would have
Like
appreciated if her response was like, honey, you're a comptroller. Let's dress up and have fun. Like, that would have been a good joke.
right, exactly.
Let's make some comptroller
Instead,
jokes.
we do need more comptroller jokes. We do get a very good one later on in this episode, but before we get there, she makes some nod to like, why didn't you get out your George Washington costume? And he's like, oh, ha ha. And we know that because he's George Washington and Hamilton. And then later on, she's at home and he comes Winnie the Pooh style out of the closet, George Washington on top with the wig, but no pants. I mean, he's wearing undies, but no pants.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes on to her and she has the killer line, you can't control me.
Yes,
Great.
very good.
And they have a whole little repartee about him being George Washington. Fun fact for you.
Mm.
The writers purposely made him George Washington because of Hamilton, and that is his Hamilton costume from Broadway.
Oh, that's fun. I did wonder that. I love silly things like this. I love silly references. Have fun with it. I do. I'm very charmed by him. As I've mentioned before, I have a soft spot for him because of the Hamilton background, but because of the theater background, etc. But I'm just very charmed by him opening the door and just being like, the British are coming is so cheesy that I love that. I love stuff like that, So I was very charmed by him in their little scene. I like seeing them together.
I also realized like they have the most sex in this reboot. And I'm a fan. They have a
Yeah.
great dynamic.
Yeah.
They seem to like each other as people. And yeah, I think he's really very charming as like an actor. You know what I mean? Like I feel like he really gives every scene his all, very seamless. And I feel like they do the least amount of damage to him. So Herbert forever. Herbert the turtle for life.
Herbert the turtle. The least amount of damage.
And that's their whole plot this episode.
That's it? It's the last we see of them?
Yep.
You're kidding.
Nope. That's all they have. He literally says, get your act together. I'm running for America. She says, you're dumb. And then they fuck with him wearing a George Washington costume.
And then that's it.
Plot.
Okay. Well, that was a wrap.
I think now going back to that big party, though, where everyone's at, which will be kind of the nexus of this, let's go to Miranda. So Miranda's still living the hard life. She's waking up at 5 a.m. in Che's apartment in Hudson Yards and then commuting to Brooklyn so she can wake Brady up and make him pancakes and then go to her class in Columbia.
Horrendous. I would understand it if she was like rushing to Brooklyn to spend time with her son because she's feeling worried about him or guilty about being away or something. I don't really get the sense though. I don't know, but she makes the excuse of I need to wake him up or he'll sleep the day away, which is like alarming to say about like a teenage young adult person. Like I need to be there to wake him up because otherwise he just won't.
Yeah, I like it's like they get it wrong and they get it right. There's the scene where she's at the house carving the pumpkin and she makes some pancakes and he's like, "Why are you doing this?" And she's like, "I like doing this for you to like make you feel better or whatever." And like I buy that much more than exactly when she wakes up at 5 a.m. in Che's place and is like, "Oh, if he'll just sleep the day away." And then we don't see that.
Yeah, we don't see that.
We don't like he wakes up on his own accord and is like, "Ew, why are you here?"
Right, exactly. I also do want to say I do like the scene of them in the kitchen because number one, she gives the better excuse here, which is I'm here just to spend time with you and make pancakes. And number two, they actually laugh together.
Yes.
And it was like, it was the first sign of real warmth that I've seen between them. And we see so much like vitriol between kids and adults on shows like this. And the kids are always brats and the adult is sort of like trying to be kind and the kids pushing them away. It was just nice to see Brady. I was ready for Brady to be like an absolute asshat. And it was nice for him to be like, you don't have to come all the way here to make pancakes for me. And then they like laughed together. And it was like, oh, this is really nice. And I realize how starved I am for this.
I agree too that he makes this little joke, "Isn't our house scary enough?" That's what he says as a joke. And Cynthia Nixon has this wonderful reaction because she's carving the pumpkins. She's holding the knife to carve the pumpkins. And she goes like, and she like pretends to carve herself up.
It's
And it's so cute. I also think this is a good moment to note that this is a Cynthia Nixon trademark directed episode.
trademark.
Because this whole reboot is a commercial for Cynthia Nixon being a director now. Did you know that? She's a director. Did you hear that? She's a director,
I didn't know
Cynthia
that,
Nixon
but I
director.
heard that Cynthia Nixon is directing.
Isn't she is? Oh my God. Cynthia Nixon director?
Yeah, yeah. And I also heard that sometimes she directs.
Oh, really?
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway.
Well, guess what? She directs in this episode.
No way.
Yeah,
You're
no.
kidding. Oh my God.
But I have to say, as much as we are making fun of the fact that it's Cynthia Nixon, the director propaganda, she's very good. I think we see some of the best performances from everyone all around in
100%.
in this
I'm
episode.
not even gonna mince words. Yeah. This episode is I mean, easily I think the strongest one I've seen so far. The people act like they're friends with each other and like have connections. You know what I mean? I was like, there's such a naturalness to it that I was actually very impressed with. So kudos to Cynthia Nixon, trademark, the
director, incorporated. So Miranda and Carrie go to the Halloween party, the aforementioned Halloween party where we saw LTW as the Bride of Frankenstein. Miranda comes as herself, which I always hated people who did that.
Exhausting. It's a little
exhausting. I hate it. And Carrie comes as the longtime Cosmopolitan editor. I just want to get into this for half a second, which is when they were thinking about what costume Carrie would come as. The costume department and Michael Patrick King and the writers all wanted Holly Golightly from Breakfast at Tiffany's, which I feel is
a little cliche.
Is a little cliche, I agree, but I feel is more on the dot than whoever the hell this Cosmopolitan editor is.
Okay.
She goes as Helen Gurley Brown, who was the editor. And like, I don't know, this woman looks, I guess there's one picture of her with little bows in her hair, but her hair is short. It's not like Carrie hair.
I see what they're going for. Okay.
So I'm just like, I kind of like.
It's kind of funny in that I actually did really enjoy the joke of Carrie showing up in costume and Miranda thinking that she's also going as herself. Carrie has a moment of being like, no, I'm obviously I'm obviously in costume. Have you ever seen me wear bows or whatever? And she was like, what? I mean, yeah, on like Wednesday. You know what I mean? Like, I liked the joke. I like an in-universe reference to stuff like that. So I do like that we have this set up here. I like that bit.
But this is my thing, is they do the same joke with Charlotte and it's even better.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So Charlotte and Harry go as the couple from The Americans.
Genuinely very funny.
Which is genuinely a very funny bit that we'll get into like more later. Yep. But it's they're really pushing the thing of like, we're obvious who we are and like no one can guess. And so that's why I think the Carrie one is very conflated and it also doesn't read as clear as the Charlotte Harry one does.
Yeah, that works better. I mean, the Carrie one works in the way that it's particular to her. Like, she already wears things that look like costumes. I think could still work. But you're right that I can't wait to talk about Charlotte's plot because that was wonderful.
Yeah, it does. I guess it just kind of fumbles slightly for me. I don't think it's like horrific or offensive, but I kind of was like, okay. Even on second watch, I was like, ugh. And then she has these moments where she like will quote Brown and people will be like, is that your quote? And she's like, no, it's Girly Brown. And then they're like, okay. And then she'll like say something and then she'll be like, that's me. And I'm like, I agree with you that in principle, you're right. Carrie would go in something crazy and people would be like, I guess Carrie's just being Carrie. And she'd be like, no, I'm being this person. But I feel like the person's like slightly too obscure and it's too close to the Charlotte game that I'm like, it gets a little muddled for me.
I did think that was annoying. The line that happens, she says something, some sort of platitude or one-liner, and then says, oh, I'm quoting this person, like as Marina said. And then at the end of the scene, she says something about, I think it's when they've all agreed to like, they're going to go out and like pick up guys basically. she says something like, "Yeah, well, I realized that if you're waiting for the perfect man, you can't just wait at home," or something like that. And Miranda says, "Who was that?" And she goes, "That one's from me." And then they smile at each other like, "Oh, you." And then the camera like pans up, and I was like, "Ugh," I just hated
Yeah.
it. It was like, it was such a bad line too, of like, it's just not clever or cute. Of like, it's some, but I put it this way. It sounds like I'm exaggerating, but the line is literally something like, "If you want the perfect man, you can't wait at home."
Yeah. It's like, I feel like they could have had a really wonderful referential line that's like, "I
Witty.
couldn't help but wonder," right? That's like the
Yeah, it would have been
classic
cute.
Carrie line. Like, I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like it could have been scaunched a bit more, but
This
I'm
is part of an ongoing problem I'm gonna flag of, maybe this is sacrilege, maybe this is a common fan opinion, I don't know. I don't find Carrie witty whatsoever, and
wow.
I find that really surprising. But I haven't, not an ounce of wit going on here, so I'm waiting for her to impress me, but so far I'm not pleased.
I mean, I think you're not gonna get that till we get to Sex and the City. And
Okay.
I'm not even counting the movies. I really think until we get to the
Okay.
episodic Sex and the City, like, yeah, it's a good point. I feel like again, it's part of this thing about when does Carrie stop being more like Candace Bushnell and more like Sarah Jessica Parker? And right now, what we're seeing is this character at the height of being Sarah Jessica Parker.
Mm, okay.
So I'm not saying Sarah Jessica Parker is not a witty person, but yeah, it does remove a little bit of that like columnist writer mm, earth wit
Yes.
that I feel like she maybe had once upon a time.
Yes, interesting. Okay, well, duly noted.
But before we get more into that, back to Miranda. Miranda comes as the puts on a clown nose and comes as the comic disaster that is her life, which okay. I
Alright.
feel like we've made this joke 10 times already is my problem.
I know, we yeah, it was a little much.
I
It was cute with the pancakes and the whatever, and I now Miranda is getting into really self-pity mode a little bit, and I think she's gonna be here for a while.
yeah. So they have that moment. Then we cut later, and Che is at their apartment with all their friends playing this dumb rip-off video game. I really was like, was it that hard to license a normal game?
I guess
They had
so. I ever since the Peloton debacle, it's like, if I guess it's really that hard to get like, not even indie developers. They're like desperate for money, desperate. They're like, "No. I will take my chances in the market. I do not want to be associated with him just like that." I guess
I
not.
love it. It looks like it's kind of like a Super Mario game,
It's
but
very
like with
funny.
a rip-off Pikachu.
Yeah, it's very much like, ask a person who doesn't know what video games are
Yeah.
to like animate their idea of a video. It's classic. It's so much so that it actually circles around to becoming funny again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we get this little mirror scene where before, Miranda was waking up at 5 a.m. and ruining Che's morning because Che had just gone to sleep. And now Che's staying up till 3 a.m. with their friends, and it's ruining Miranda's bedtime because they're loud and smoking weed and
Mhm.
whatever. We get the point that I guess Che is a night owl and Miranda's a morning person, and so their schedule is not driving. But Miranda and Naya meet up at Columbia, and we'll get into Naya. I think this will be a good time to get into Naya, which is that Naya comes to the Halloween party too in a fierce, fierce Eartha Kitt inspired Catwoman
Mhm.
cat suit costume.
Mhm.
And she's on the prowl. And we actually get a very interesting dating tip for once out of this goddamn show.
Yeah, I wanna talk about this tip.
Which is that apparently, and I don't want to get into Seema's plot yet,
Yeah,
just Naya's plot, but apparently the place to meet guys is five-star hotel bars. Because as Seema puts it, they have to be wealthy enough to afford a room at there, and scruffy guys just can't walk into a hotel bar, so there's some sort of kind of process of elimination. Basically, only the rich people who can afford a five-star hotel would go to a hotel bar like that. And so that's the best place to pick up a man.
I am not at the age of these women, so I'm not going to pretend that I have any more authority on whoever wrote this line or whatever. But this did give me pause because what I associate with hotel bars and picking up men, unfortunately, is prostitution.
Oh, wow. Emily coming in strong with the hot guns.
So, and I'm not trying to say anything demeaning about them or prostitutes because like I think that that is a completely respectable place
We're
to.
not shaming sex workers.
Yeah, I want to be super clear about that, but it makes more sense to me from a call worker's perspective because the kind of people who would drink in a hotel bar are perhaps men who are here on a business trip and may be married and maybe don't want to go out in public, but have some money to burn, right? So like, and they also have a room upstairs. Like, but I've seen that trope a couple times of a lot of women who are looking for male clients in particular will spend times in luxurious hotel bars, and hotel staff have to be on the lookout for this, or know about it and turn a blind eye toward it, so to speak. So that's been
I
a
mean,
thing I've seen before. So I would say that's an interesting piece of advice, but that's all I know about that.
we do see that in White Lotus season 2, right? Where
Oh
the
yes, there
like
that there you
the
go.
sex workers come to the
Hmm.
hotel and yeah, I would say I had a similar reaction where the first time I think I was like, "Oh, that's a hot tip." And then when you really think about it, you're like, "Wait, it's definitely like overseas businessmen
Hmm.
who, obviously if that's your thing,
Right.
if you crave a Mr. Worldwide, then yes. And I think that they go with the intention of one night stands because that's the
Right.
other thing too. It's like you're definitely
Sure.
not going to meet some sort of long-term dating situation from somebody at a hotel bar. So I
That's
will
true.
give them that. Um, but I was like, really, these women need more money. I feel like they chose the five-star hotel bar because like those men automatically have to have money. And I'm like, aren't these women rich enough? Why do they also need a gazillionaire at the hotel five-star bar or whatever?
That's true. That is a sort of that's true. The sort of like oohing and awing over like we're gonna find the hot rich men. I feel like that's a joke that maybe we share as people of a different economic class than these women. But
Yeah.
is this a universal woman thing that even when you're mega rich, you're still looking for it? That's sad because if that's the case.
That was my thought. It's like five-star hotel does not necessarily mean hot guys,
Yeah.
which is what Naya's going for. It definitely means rich guy.
Right.
But those, as we all know, very two different categories.
Yes. Yes, it's absolutely true. And again, this is not a luxurious bar. This is not an exclusive bar. It's a hotel bar. So it
Yeah.
is the people who are not going out to fancy events and things. It is, overseas person is in for one night or a layover or something and needs to grab a drink before he goes to bed kind of thing. It's like
Right.
you're not going to be at the hotel bar necessarily. So this is a very particular class of people. But who do we know? What do we know? Because this is going to end up working
Yes,
for at
Naya
least
finds
one of
a
them.
very hot man. Well, 2 of them, but we'll get to that later. But
Yes.
Naya does find a hot
Understood.
guy. She has a one-night stand. She has a fabulous walk of shame out of the hotel that she is super proud of, and
Mhm.
we're proud for her.
Mhm.
Um, and
We're just happy. I'm just happy if Naya's happy. It's like
if Naya's happy, I'm happy. If Naya gets more than 30 seconds of screen time, I'm also happy.
yeah.
So Karen Pittman really sells that she's feeling the one night stand.
I
She and Miranda talk about it.
mhm. I do wanna shout out sorry, I don't wanna interrupt the momentum while we're getting it going again. I wanna shout out Karen Pittman for a lovely little moment when she and Miranda are talking on Columbia's campus, and they're like, "Ooh, walk of shame. Ooh, boys." And then 2 students walk by and they're like, "Hi, professor." And she says very sort of in her professor adult voice, "Morning, ladies." Anyway, and then just immediately
Yes.
switches her voice into, like, a different register to go back to, like, gossiping about the sex. It's, like, so cute. I love it. 10 stars. 10 out of 10 for Karen Pittman once again. So,
Tens, tens, tens across the board. Yeah. She's really selling this like
yeah.
again, the one plot line we care about, which is like, how do you come back from a divorce, especially with a man who, as we also learned earlier in the bar scene, she's only seen 2 penises in her life.
Yeah.
So, like that's actually really interesting.
Yeah.
Um, but again, Naya being the coolest, sickest best friend offers Miranda Andre's music room as a place to stay since it's 2 minutes away from Miranda's Brooklyn house. And also then Miranda doesn't have to deal with Che getting up at all hours of the day, which this is the like JWoww and Snooki spinoff that I want. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, I just feel like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like they're coming together, two single gals. I feel like this episode is very much has the same momentum as Sex and the City does, where we get these Sex and the City romps, we get these like single girl troubles, and also, frankly, married girl troubles too, but in a way that's like fun and like very farcical, but not farcical to a point of like, are these people stupid? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
intelligent farce. And this episode really hits on that.
Intelligent farce is a great term. This is fun, silly fun.
Yeah, this is very silly fun. And then Miranda and Che eat Thai food together. Miranda's trying to stay up, I guess, and be awake with the spicy, spicy Thai food. I think this whole scene is written so that they can end on the button that is curry lingus.
I think you're correct.
I think that's the only reason.
There's nothing else to do
go
here.
To a Thai restaurant. Somebody wrote curry lingus in the goddamn writer's room, and they were like, put them in a Thai restaurant. We have to let this gold hit the airwaves.
They need to know. That's so true. Nothing else happens in this.
No, they literally have a chat where Miranda's like, I think I should move out. And Che's like, you do you. And that's their whole plot this episode. Cool. But that's not it for Che, because then we get to arguably one of the best scenes this whole season.
Oh, yeah.
Which is that Che goes to the pilot focus group, which is, you know, something that happens, I guess, still in Hollywood. So Che goes to the pilot test screening, and they kind of blow it off at the beginning. They're like, oh, they just get a bunch of people from Times Square to like talk about the show, like yawn. And first of all, I love that the scene opens. They're immediately talking about Tony Danza. They're like, so who liked Tony Danza? And everyone's like, yay, Tony. Yeah. Someone's like, he's got a beautiful head of hair.
Yeah, it's kind of great. Like the Tony Danza propaganda of it all, I'm fully on board. It's great.
Listen, perpetuate the man, the myth, the lasagna. I don't have to say that many times.
And actually, I think you do.
Actually, I do. One more time. Man, myth, lasagna. Okay, so they all heaps of praise on Tony Danza, and then we get to Che, and everyone clams up because it kind of becomes kind of obvious that no one likes Che. But more shockingly than anything, as Che describes, this genderqueer person from Brooklyn absolutely tears Che to smithereens. It's a very clear pointing the finger at the audience. Like, this is what you all did to Che in season 1. We heard you, and now we wrote it into a scene where this person tears Che to shreds. And I also love that they have the little button at the end that's like, and also that apartment is way too big an apartment for a comedian to have in Bushwick. Cute. That's actually was like, I mean, the whole scene is good, but also that little button, I was like, yeah. But we see Che really kind of break down in seeing kind of an ally, if you will, just tear them apart. And then we see them at home with Miranda, and Miranda's trying so hard to be the cheerleader, and Che just wants to wallow. And Che says, I just need space. You need to go to that other apartment, and not just for one night, but for a while.
Yeah, I also think it's a great scene. I think it's the heaviest scene we've really seen Sarah Ramirez have to deal with. And their face, there's just something about that moment, their face watching this speech happen, that is like crushing, considering, as we've discussed many times, we don't like Che. Like, I really can't stand this character. Yet even me really felt it. What I found really interesting about the performance too is it's not just crushed, it's not just sad. There's also like a kind of shadow of darkness that comes over. Like there's a very bitter angry look to them as well. So like there's something else too. There's just a lot going on in it, and it's really kind of stunning how much they can do with nothing. I will say it is interesting because of this character specifically being the gender queer quote unquote person. And how it feels very much like the writers maybe even shaming the audience for a little bit. That's a little frustrating because I may not have watched their show, but I'm aware of the discourse around Che Diaz. And from my understanding, a lot of the frustration around it was like the writers or Michael Patrick King interpreted the backlash to this character as people just being bigots, people being overly critical of something, of representation, people sort of like having complicated politics and that kind of thing. And from my understanding, that wasn't actually the criticism. You know, the criticism wasn't actually that, like, as a non-binary person, this person is offensive. The criticism to me seemed more like, wow, this character itself sucks. It's kind of great that we get to see a non-binary person not be like perfect angel, absolute like trope, bunch of happy, positive tropes and not a human being. It's kind of great to see a non-binary person get to be like a human being who has depth that is maybe not good. You know what I mean? There we do see a lot of representation, I think, sometimes of like gay characters, lesbian characters, bi characters, people in the queer community who have to be perfect. They have to be super nice and super polite all the time because it's aimed at straight people and trying to like make them more amenable to like gay people. But I'm curious what your thoughts are of like what was the criticism of Che Diaz and how do you interpret Michael Patrick King's like defense here that's going on? Because that's clearly what this was meant to be.
Yeah, for sure. And they talk about it as much in the writers podcast too. I interpret basically along the same lines, which is that I don't think that I think there are always bigots, but I don't think that naturally the Sex and the City fan base, which is mostly made up of what straight women and people in the LGBTQ community. So I really don't think that people were against Che as a non-binary person. And I totally agree with you that I do think it like, especially a rewatch, I'm like, it is kind of refreshing. That being said, I think people had a problem with Che because they're a mean-spirited person that has very little. I feel like this is the first scene that makes me really empathize with Che as a person and makes me feel like, wow, I feel kind of bad that this person's, life project or whatever has exploded. So I think people did not respond well to Che, A, because of that, B, because the comedy wasn't funny in season one. Like the bits that Che has are not funny. And so people are confused. Like, okay, so if they're supposed to be this amazing stand up, why do they suck?
Right.
Like, why does this poor non binary comedian suck?
Right.
And then three, I think, is that, I mean, they drove a wedge between a beloved couple in a way that doesn't really, when we watch season one, it
Mm.
doesn't translate well. Like, I just don't think they stuck the landing on that at all. I'm one of those people that's like, I don't think Miranda and Steve breaking up and Miranda exploring her sexuality is the craziest plot line. Like, I think that plot line is fine and can work and make sense. I truly think the execution was not good. And I think that's why people turned and blamed Che and reacted very negatively because I just don't think they stuck the landing on that at all. And I think, unfortunately, Che as a character gets sucked into that because Che is really the catalyst for a lot of that. And they're
Okay.
annoying. Like,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
and I know that they made that character annoying on purpose. And like, well, that's what you're going to have to deal with when you made this person very mean-spirited and very annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think that's very well said and a very good rundown. And I hadn't really thought about that in the context of also like the couple and other stuff like that. So,
It was really a double-edged sword. To your point, it's like, okay, you want to not make this person perfect or whatever. So then they went too hard in the opposite direction where they wrote a fuck person.
yeah. Yeah.
And it's going to be very hard for me as a straight woman, big fan of the show, to empathize with a fuck person.
Right. Right. And I don't even think this would be an issue or like such a, discussion if that was if the intention was for us to feel that way. You know what I mean? It's like this whole confusion is because the writers are, for some reason, expecting us to like them. And like,
Yeah.
that is what is breaking everything. Because it's like, if you wanted us to like this person, you have to give us a reason to like this person.
I think they
Yeah.
thought we would be enchanted by the comedy. And when that didn't work in season 1, because everybody made fun of the comedy concert and all that stuff, I think they realized, oh, fuck, I think we need to give this person some meat to hold on to because the comedy ain't cutting it.
Mm-hmm. Which is astonishing that they were so confident in this comedy.
Yeah. But
LA,
I think
everyone drives. I took an Uber to my bathroom. Like, that is going to win over America.
but I think they fix a lot of wrongs with this scene. I think this scene buys them a lot. And is well executed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's their plot.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's Miranda and Shay. Thank God. At least I'm not seeing more nipple chewing.
No, thank you.
Going back to the Halloween party that started it all, I do want to get into Charlotte before we end on Carrie.
Okay.
Charlotte and Harry come, as we mentioned, as the couple from The Americans. It's so funny. Finally, a funny, we use this word sitcom.
Yeah.
Finally a funny sitcom plot for Charlotte and Harry, which is like, well, first of all, Charlotte's being Carrie Russell. So she's just wearing like a red long sleeve shirt and she has her hair to one side and she's like pouting.
Yeah.
And people are like, what? And then she's like, well, it doesn't make sense till you see Harry. And then Harry comes, Harry classically bald, but in this like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo wig. That's incredible. So and he also looks nothing like Matthew Rhys in that show.
I know. It's just a wig that he's put on and is wearing a jacket. And he's like, you guys, do you not
Don't you get it?
It's so good. It's so good. It's like, it's just relatable in so many levels of the like, guys, this niche TV character do you not understand, and you've picked a character that you might love, but also is just not a recognizable thing. Shout out to the year that I went as Faith from Buffy for Halloween.
Pour one out.
And also The Americans is just such a funny show to pick because like it is a great show, but it's also one of those like fantastic shows that's underwatched. So it's like chef's kiss, the perfect thing to go as, and then it cuts to them watch anyway, yes, I'll let you.
I was literally about to say I love too when it cuts to them at home watching it being like, this show is so good, why does no one watch this show? It's so good.
It's
like
so
heightening. It's like we see them and they're like trying to sell it and then they're at home and they're like selling it to each other and you're like, yes, more.
I love it. I love it. And it's like such a couple thing too, of like you are both hyperfixate. When you share a hyperfixation on something,
yes,
and then you're like, why does no one else in the world see this? It's fantastic.
Big fan. So Rock Burson says they've been scouted for Ralph Lauren. And then we get into a little bit of a weird plot here, which is that Charlotte was a former teen model at the mall. So she is all in on Ralph Lauren. Harry is like fully Dateline. He's like, this is a plot to kidnap Rock for sexual slavery. Like he's just like,
he's like
fully against it. But Rock provides a business card for the person at Ralph Lauren and it's looks like to be a real business card and Harry's just skeeved out. But later on then we get to another scene where Charlotte's really pushing Ralph Lauren. She and Rock are like making this full feast and Harry's like, what's this feast for? And they're like, it's for you accepting Rock doing Ralph Lauren.
Yeah.
And Harry's like, cool, I hate this idea. And Charlotte's like, well, I called them, they're legit. And the photo shoot is real. And he does have this one line where he's like, teen model, next stop rehab. That made me laugh.
Yes.
He has some solid like one-liners in here. And so I guess he kind of gives in because Charlotte's like, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. So Charlotte and Rock go to Ralph Lauren, very cool shoot in a fun little warehouse, and everybody there looks very cool. And we cut back later and we find that Harry in the Americans wig and like a rugby shirt has shown up to the shoot to kind of act as like an incognito security.
Yeah.
Which is incredible because
Yeah.
again, the wig is just too good.
Yeah, it's perfect. It looks like it's like already a bad wig that's like on backwards.
Yes. And then again, it's like finally, it's like the proof that people can write jokes. He comes on it because the whole time he's like, it's perverts. It's going to be perverts taking perverted pictures. And then the way that he comes up to the guy who's kind of at Video Village processing all the pictures and is like, yeah, we're taking pictures of some cool kids today. Like the way that he
Yeah.
approaches is so pervy.
I know. He's like, what's going on that green screen? Is it sex stuff?
Yeah, it's
Can
so
I help
good.
you?
So funny. The guy turns around and is like, ew.
I thought he was going to get arrested. I'm glad that is not how this episode ended.
I did too. Charlotte immediately clocks him and walks over and is like, what are you doing here? And he's like, I'm making sure nothing sketchy happens. And she's like, are you just mad that I get to be the fun parent for once and you don't get to be the fun parent? And he's like, maybe. And then she's like, you're going to go home because you're embarrassing yourself. And if Rock sees you like this, you're going to embarrass Rock. So we can't have either of those things. So you need to go. I do love when she's like, you look ridiculous in that wig. And he's like, well, Carrie likes it. And also I lost the receipt, so I can't return it.
Yeah.
Banger line. And then he kind of goes like, all right, dude, like peace. And then like backs away slowly.
It's so funny. No,
Gold.
it's so good. What I love about them so much in this episode and from what I'm seeing of their dynamic is like, first of all, like we said, there are actual jokes that they're actually funny. I also see people reacting to jokes the way that they should in a sitcom. Do you know what I mean? Like we've talked about how people react to things in such insane ways in the show. They're reacting to it normally. Sometimes they're even laughing at it and seeing the humor of it in the moment. I also think Charlotte is a great mom in this episode. Like,
yes,
she's handles the shoot super well, checks it out, and then is also super excited for Rock and like and supportive, and also like Rock enjoys talking to her about like her sort of, okay, mom, I know you were a teen model. They're sort of having fun and she's being really supportive. I also think her speech to Harry is very on point and kind. It is, if she sees you, that trust is going to be lost. And he's like, that's a very good point, and acknowledges it. And it's like, it's really lovely. So, A+.
It took 5 episodes in season 2, but they finally fit the landing. And also it's just, for me, like my big thing is just the heightening. They get the heightening correct. It's like we see the wig once, we see the Americans, and then he's there at the shoot in the wig, which is like ridiculous but believable.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't fizzle. That was my other problem with Charlotte is like, then these things just fizzle. That's like so it would have, I feel like again, the Harry Charlotte of 2 episodes ago, she would have been like, you should leave. Actually, it's okay if you're here. And then he would have just taken the wig off and then just been there. Anyway, before we get into Carrie 2, I forgot Seema has a very classic, I would say, Sex and the City plotline.
Okay.
Which is that Seema's at the Halloween party. She's the one who gives Naya the advice about the hotel bar. She picks up this guy who's trying to sell his weird ass gin. She decides to fuck him. I don't know why, honestly. Yeah, from the get-go, I'm like, this guy's weird.
I know. He's trying to sell his gin to this bar and has a sort of cheesy pickup line.
She takes him anyway back to her place where he brings a little suitcase. Did you notice that? At first, I thought they were in his hotel room. And then I realized, no, this is her set. So he comes with his little suitcase that has his penis pump in it.
I didn't notice that. That's a good detail. I missed that.
It's a little coffin-sized, like flute-sized. Coffin flute bag size little suitcase. So it's not even like a real suitcase shape. It's like noticeably different. And he whips out his penis pump because, as he explains, he has erectile dysfunction. I'm not here to make fun of erectile dysfunction. I am here to make fun of the little suitcase, though.
Yeah.
Because that's
make fun of a little suitcase on this show.
I'll always harass a little suitcase. But he pumps his penis.
Moving on.
They have sex.
I will say I was surprised that he just did it in the bedroom. I didn't realize that was, I thought it was like a, hang on 1 second, I'm going to go to the bathroom and then I'm going to come back. That's how I thought it was used. I do think it's funny that he rolls out of the sheets and is like 1 second and then pulls out this like machine from seemingly nowhere, but it was the suitcase I had missed.
We love a man with no, holds bar. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna pump this in front of her,
No sense of
no holds
shame.
bar." He does it. Seema and Carrie have a phone call later where she's like, "Well, I'm gonna keep going back for more because the sex was kind of okay." Which I'm like, "Come on, Seema. Come on now. You don't even really like him."
Yeah, yeah. I think it's one of those things where it's like, it's fine. And so it's like, if you just want to have sex or wanna have attention, you'll put up with it. It just
Fine.
it is a little disappointing because Seema up until this point has been, like, Miss Standard, you know what I mean? She's very
She's
sort
just
of
so gorgeous. So I'm like, "Really? A penis pump guy? So you're gonna settle for?"
yeah, that's true. It is
Anyway,
yeah, whatever, alright.
well, they have sex again. He brings the penis pump out again. And then he finishes, and then Seema pulls out her golden vibrator so she can finish herself. And he says, "Ewy, put that away. Makes a lot of loud noises." And she says, "Your penis pump makes a lot of loud noises." And then he says, "I gotta get out of here." And that's that plot.
Yeah, it's funny and ridiculous. I mean, it's like yeah, I don't know what else to say. Shout out to having a shiny gold vibrator though.
Shout out to having a shiny gold vibrator. What I wrote down in my notes was, um, I hate this, but it is funny. Like, I think I
Mm,
hate it because guys like this are real.
yes, okay.
It's not a stretch for me to think that some guy would think his penis pump is okay,
Mhm.
which, by the way, I wanna just preface in saying penis pumps are fine. We're not anti-penis pump here.
Right, but
But
we
to say
yeah,
that a guy would say, "My penis pump is okay, but your vibrator is not," I think that's actually very male.
that's true, yeah, unfortunately. So, that's true, alright.
So I think that's why I wrote, "I hate this, but it's funny."
Mhm.
I think it was cute.
Yeah.
It's funny to me how, like, I think in any other episode, this would have been the comedy, but because this episode had so many genuinely funny moments, this kinda was like, "Oh, okay.
Yeah, it floated by, and I, honestly kind of forgot about it until we brought it up now, so
Penis pump guy, look him up."
I I will not.
And that takes us to Carrie's plot line. Carrie's plot line is that first she goes to the Halloween party as we described, and then she's talking to Seema on the phone. Well, she goes to the bar with everyone first
Mhm.
and witnesses everyone get picked up, and then she's on the phone
Before we go
with
on, I do wanna shout out her line of when everyone has left with their respective partners, she goes, "Perfect time for Wordle," and takes out her phone.
yeah,
That was
that was good.
that was funny and also maybe the first relatable thing I've, like, heard her say so far. It's like,
Yeah.
that's actually really funny.
So then Carrie is talking, I think, to Seema in this moment, and Seema mentions the penis pump, and Carrie's walking outdoors in Chelsea, and she's so struck by the penis pump mention that she stops in the middle of a bike lane,
Mm,
which, as we all know, major crime in New York City. And this guy, very slowly moving towards her, is like, "Bike lane, bike lane, bike lane, bike lane," for like half an hour, and then
yeah,
smacks right into her.
yeah.
Or he veers away so he doesn't hit her, but it was a little too slow for me.
Yeah, yeah, that should have been the first red flag is the guy didn't just, like, stop.
Stop. Yeah, I'm like, I'm in the bike lane all the fucking time because I don't give no fucks. And I mean, I will definitely get mowed down by a bicyclist one day, but I would say they're pretty good about stopping.
Yeah, no, that's what should have happened, but he, like, swerves as if he's going too fast to stop, but he's not, so it's fine.
He
Right.
crashes. I have to say too, I think the outfit Carrie's wearing in this scene is horrific. It's like a weird Stetson hat, big flowy jacket, big flowy dress, and like boots and like 8 bags. And I'm just like, it's another classic example of like, what is this? I hate it.
I don't like it, no.
I
It's
hate
a
it.
lot. It's, like, kind of being buried in a lot of things and then covered by this big beige coat. It's like, what
Yeah.
was all of this for?
What was all of this for?
Yeah,
But anyway,
right.
regardless, he falls. He says, "Oh, my wrist hurts."
Mhm.
She says, "Let's go to the urgent care. It's around the corner." I know it is because I saw an Olsen twin go in there once. Funny.
This was another thing where you had told me I wanted to ask you because you had told me before that Carrie is kind of shy. I feel like this episode kind of ramped up the, like I didn't realize Carrie was the type of protagonist that's, like, quirky and awkward. You know what I mean? Like that type of sort of female protagonist that has become trendy lately for some reason to make her like relatable. It's like she's so awkward and keeps saying things without meaning to kind of thing. And I felt like this was her ramped up to 11 where she's like motor mouth sort of talking in a way that I was like, I still haven't figured out who this person is because I did not peg her as this person, but I guess that's her character.
She does change a lot. I think that Cynthia Nixon, this is what I'm willing to bet. Cynthia Nixon gave her the direction that was, for this episode, you're in a rom-com. This episode is a rom-com for Carrie.
Okay.
And that's why I think she's like more heightened than usual on all these like things. I think she's like thinks she's in a rom-com.
Okay.
As the actor.
That explains everything. Thank you.
And I think she's selling that very well. Because again, this is a very classically Sex in the City plotline for Carrie in general, where it's like the new guy of the week and he's got a weird thing. And then we like make fun of the weird thing and then she moves on. I also want to take the moment to point out that the bicycle man, is Mariska Hargitay's husband.
I did know this because I looked him up because he looked very familiar, and it's clearly not how I recognize him, but I did find that fun fact. He's Mariska Hargitay's husband, father of 3.
And the way that they make out on that couch, I was like, did Sarah Jessica Parker just want to make out with Mariska Hargitay's husband?
Power move.
Power move. That's how you make out with the guys you want to make out with in Hollywood. You reboot an old show that no one wanted.
Yeah.
You get them all on the couch.
That crime would be especially heinous.
But anyway, so she takes him to urgent care.
Thank you for not getting the SVU reference. That's fine. I'll just melt away.
I'm sorry. What was it?
As crime would be especially heinous. Do you know the opening? It's like sexual crimes are considered especially heinous or whatever it is. Anyway.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Don't mind me and my suburban SVU mother, like wife knowledge. Anyway.
Okay. First of all, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disrespect you like that. Second of all, too, this is how I know about SVU, okay? I know about SVU 2 ways. SVU 1, Kathy Griffin was a guest star in one episode. I've seen that episode because she talked about it in her comedy special, and she talked about how she made out with both Chris Maloney and Mariska Hargitay. But I think they only air one of the kisses in the episode. And then I know one of my college roommates always just had it on in the background.
Interesting. Okay.
So I've seen like bits. That was the first time I ever really watched bits and pieces.
Okay. I see.
So I support.
Right.
But
we don't know the intro. In the criminal justice system, sexual crimes are considered especially heinous. Something, something, something. These are their stories.
Yeah, no, I only know the dun-dun.
That's fair. That's fair.
So
I think that's all you need to know. Also, Ice-T is on that show. All right. I think that's all you need to know. I think you're caught up.
Carrie takes him to urgent care and conveniently enough can fill out his sheet with his address and his information and his marital status. Hey. And he says that his partner's calling and she thinks that he's gay, but no, it's his business partner. Oh. And then he very much says goodbye to her.
Yeah. I know where you're going with this.
He very much says, like, thank you for taking me to the urgent care. I'll take care of my wrist now. Like, you've been more than kind. Thank you.
Yes.
But Carrie feels like she's going to get sued. I don't know. So she just shows up at his house.
Yeah. Okay.
To stalk him.
I know. Speaking of
it's
especially heinous. I was like,
especially heinous.
It's like, this is really crossing a lot of boundaries from like polite good Samaritan to like, it's time to call some authority here to take you away, because she does justify it as, I'm worried I'm going to get sued. I'm Googleable. I wonder if that's her kind of making an excuse to her friend, but in reality, she's just hot and she just like wants to make a move, because like it's so above, it's so crossing a line to go to his house and bring him like a course meal. And she knows his address because of the form. It's not like he gave it to her and said, I'll see you around or come stop by sometime. There's no invitation. She only knows where he lives because of medical form. So there may be a crime that's being committed.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing how he doesn't care about that at all. I guess they're just horny for each other. But she shows up. Also, she takes pity on him because when he's at he talks about how his business partner's calling because they need to go on this big deal. They're like on the verge of this big deal, and then his card gets declined. So she thinks he's like homeless. I don't know.
Yeah, she
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 makes a lot of
assumes he's, like,
brash
on the verge
assumptions.
of bankruptcy.
But she shows up at his house, and instead he's got this sick loft with a calendar, a mobile. Who's that artist? You know what I'm talking
Well, I'm
about.
not gonna help I can't help you with this.
You don't.
Don't put me on the spot like this. Don't make me seem like an uncultured swine.
Okay,
Calendar
I'm gonna
Mobile?
repeat this.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't even know the movie where the numbers kill Johnny Depp. You think I'm gonna know the artist behind Calendar Mobile?
Come on now. Give me the artist. Calder. Okay. This episode has been me trying to make highbrow references and fucking all up. But he's got a fancy bedroom loft with a Calder mobile, and he's not homeless. He's fine. He's sold multiple apps, we learned, so he's
Mhm.
okay. Carrie insults him to his face, basically saying, "I thought you were a bum." Um,
He's so turned on by this.
I also have to say, like, in a lot of these scenes in this episode, this horrific comedy soundtrack gets played in the background, and I hate it.
Okay.
I hate it. It's like, I already know this scene is funny. I don't need, like,
Oh,
basically,
yeah,
like,
like, cute
bum,
little, like,
bum,
string
bum, bu
yeah.
bu 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 in the background, like, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So they start turning up the comedy music in the background of this scene. You're like, "Oh, boy." Um And I love too when because so Carrie comes and she's like, "Not only have I brought you a 5-course meal, I also will type out your project for you with my limber wrists." I just love that she opens a laptop, they like touch hands for 2 seconds, they make out. Then the business partner calls and then she's like, "I guess I should go." And she closes the laptop. She does literally nothing.
Yeah, she yeah, absolutely nothing. Which is, like,
Um,
further, I think, proof that she's not actually there to help.
no, she's there to
It's
bone.
very much this is her, "I'm going to show you my golf swing" moment, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. Which is
Yeah.
a funny
So
way to, like, hit on someone. It's like, "I can type 79 words a minute," or whatever she says.
yeah, exactly. A very pitiful amount of typing. The business partner calls, interrupts them. She's like, "I guess I should go." Then there's this dumb bike joke that starts where
Oh,
she's like, "Can I have your one take? Can I take one of your?" She says,
yeah.
"Can I take one of your bikes?" And he goes, "Of course." And she goes, "Never gonna happen." And it's like, wouldn't it make more sense if she was like, "Oh no, I have to get to," I forget where she's going, but if she's like, "Oh no, I have to get to Times Square in 30 minutes." And he's like, "Well, if you bike there, you can get there in 20." And then she could go, "Never gonna happen." Isn't that make more sense?
Yes, exactly. Once again, we have script doctored a little tiny change, and it's made it so much better. It's exactly that. It doesn't make sense when she's the one that well, because you know what? Carrie had that line planned, and he didn't set her up. And so she, like, tried to get him to say the line, and then he also doesn't laugh at it. So this is a good episode of people laughing at things that are actually funny, and
Yeah.
people not laughing at other characters who are not actually funny. It's not landing because this man just met her. And all she's done is, like, break his wrist and give him mouthful soup.
Yeah. Again, as a person dating a person who is constantly trying to get me on a bike, like, I feel like that's the setup you need is him being like, "Now's a good time to
And she's
try
like,
bikes."
yeah.
And her being like, "No, thank you."
I do remember
Um,
once when my friend was trying to meet up with someone who she met on an app, and he was they were she was telling him where she was, so he was gonna pick a restaurant nearby or something like that. He gave her a location and was like, "It's a 15-minute bike ride from whatever, like, don't worry about it." And she, like, was and then she literally looked at me and said something like, "I have no idea what a 15-minute bike ride is in, like, normal terms. Like, what is that? What distance does that mean?" Because, like, what you know what I mean?
yeah.
That's useless information to me.
I forgot to mention earlier, she and Miranda have a scene where Miranda goes to buy a mattress from like a thrift store.
Oh, yeah, what the heck was that?
So fucking weird because she has to buy a bed, I guess, for Andre's music room in Naya's house,
Oh,
which is fine. But
yeah.
it's like, can't you go to Bloomingdale's? Like, first of all, you would go to Bloomingdale's. You would go to a thrift store.
Yeah,
And
I
Carrie
for
the
a
whole time is like,
mattress?
all these mattresses have bug beds. I'm like, yeah, they do definitely have
Yeah,
bug beds in
also,
them. Like, what?
you specifically can't donate mattresses. I had to look into this because I once got a mattress, slept on it for literally one night, and then had to get rid of it because it was so goddamn uncomfortable. Guys, don't buy mattresses that come out of boxes. It's just a dumb idea. Just go to a Raymore and Flanagan like the rest of us. So
Yeah,
I did look into this, and you specifically, they will not take mattresses in New York City because of the bed bug problem. Like the only places
exactly.
that would legally take it is New Jersey. So I don't know where these people are, but this like very shady underground mattress market.
And then this whole scene is basically just to tell us that Steve hasn't moved out yet because they won't talk about the
Mm,
divorce.
right.
And then it's just like brushed aside.
Yeah. That's
Whatever.
later.
Carrie decides to return to her stalking and shows up at the guy's house again. But this time it's clear that she's there to bone.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
They're fully making out on the bed. It's something. And then the business partner calls on FaceTime and Mariska Hargitay's husband is like, "Oh no, I forgot to send the deck. Let me go send it now." And then he leaves the phone face up on the bed and Carrie's laying there. And then the
So
business partner
insane.
is like, "Are you there?"
And
And she
I do love Carrie's hesitation of like watching the gears turn of like, do I say yes? Like to have her lying on the bed and have the phone FaceTime facing the ceiling and then being like, do I say yes? Is it weirder if I say yes? Is it weirder if I pretend I'm not here? Like that was actually very funny. You could
so good.
again with the intelligent farce. I was like, yeah, this is exactly a great situation to watch someone have to struggle through.
Yes. And then the second phase of that is like, so she says something like, "Yeah, it's me." And then he starts like emotionally dumping
Yeah.
on like, "It's so hard. We have to get this deal." And like, "I'm scared." And then again, follow up is her like shimmying, sliding off the bed, crawling out so that like he doesn't notice, I guess, that she's shifted or moved and she doesn't want to be caught in the camera, I guess, by accident. So good.
So good. And her sneaking out while he's still talking.
The comedy music is raging though, and I hate that. And then there's this kind of awkward button on the stairs where she's like, "I'm gonna go," and he's like, we don't see him. He's just
Yeah.
like in a room, and then he's like, "No, don't go." And she's like, "Well, you already have a partner, a marriage partner, and it's your partner." And he's like, "No, it's not like that." And then she's like, "Okay, bye."
And yeah, and then she sneaks out without us seeing him on screen. Actually, I think he comes in the very end to be like, "Carrie, where'd you go?" But he's off screen for all of this, so it's just watching Carrie
Yeah.
call
And
out.
then we get one of the weirdest and just like that's,
Yeah,
which is,
yeah,
and just like that, George and I were over. Should have been a period, it's not. And just like that, George and I were over, but at least I got back up on the bike. And they do this whole visual thing where like a person with a bike walks next to her. It's like, first of all, you already got back on the bike with Gabriel from MI7.
yeah. Where we opened the season.
Yeah, so, like, it's not like, oh, Carrie's, like, back on the market. We already had an And Just Like That. And Just Like That, My Schedule Was Open is basically the
Yes,
same thing. So,
exactly.
to have And Just Like That, George and I were over, end it there. And
Yeah,
also
yeah. There's a is this is another this reeks of writing the end just like that first and then working backwards and like being like, how are we going to get a bike involved? Because this has nothing to do with I mean, it's nothing to do with her emotional journey of the episode, which isn't much of a journey. It's just sort of like fun sillies. You know what I mean? So it really doesn't need to be that silly of an and just like that. We don't need a message here. Nothing has really happened. You could just do and just like that. I got, something about cabs, she walks out and she hails a cab or something, and just like
yeah.
that, I vowed to always take cabs wherever I go, something stupid like that. It's whatever.
It really sucks because as we've said throughout this whole episode, they've done such a good job for once, finally, in the heightening and the running threads of stuff. And this bike thread is the one thread that's kind of gets lost for me.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't stick the landing. Like maybe if she was riding a bike in that last scene, or again, to your point, yeah, I do like that. And just like that, I got in a cab. Great. I feel like they're just pushing Carrie and bikes because it's like Carrie on a bike. Never. But like, okay,
It's not that funny.
as a fan, I get one of those jokes and then I don't care.
Yeah. And then we've moved on. So that's a wrap on Carrie.
That's a wrap on that. So, Emily, we end as we always do. What was your get them of this episode? The thing that you were just like, ew, get it out of here.
I think my get them, maybe this is recency bias, but I think my get them is unfortunately stalking this man. Like her showing up at his doorstep. I knew what was coming with this guy, obviously. Like I knew we had to get there. There was just something about her showing up with all of the bags of food that was like alarming to me. My get them is showing up at people's houses because you happen to know their address, because you like volunteer to just fill out medical forms for them.
I think my get them, I'm kind of torn. I think I'm going to do the rip off Pokemon Super Mario Brothers video game.
That's
I had to I paused this time to really like take it in and be like, who did they hire to make this?
Yeah.
Shout out to that person. I hope that person got paid well.
That person, I hope, got paid well and has a good sense of humor.
Yes, agreed. So then, Emily, what is your release the Kraken? The thing you want more of?
There's a lot that we loved in this episode again, but my release the Kraken at the top of the list. There's so many. Again, I had to pick between, but it just has to go to Charlotte and Harry watching the Americans. It's just chef's kiss. I would love more of that. Their whole plot is fantastic. We're cooking with gas.
Yeah, for me, it's got to be the Che pilot focus group.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a classic example of, I feel like there are all these, sometimes in this show, there are all these like quote unquote serious scenes that don't have any real stakes and don't really buy into them or believe them. And this is one where I buy into it and I believe it. And props to them for really, really trying to rewrite the narrative on this character. And I think landing it in this scene. Do they land it this season? We'll see. But definitely in this scene.
That made me very nervous.
Oh, get scared, girly.
No. Why?
Get scared.
Why do we have to keep presenting good things to me and then we're going to take them away?
Take them away.
I can't handle this. Why can't I have good things? No.
Because Michael Patrick King said so. Because then just like that, I got back on the bike. I can't. It's so long too. All right. That's it.
All right.
Well, until next time for episode 6. Bye.